This is the second part of section 3.1, exponential functions. And in this lesson, we're going to start modeling exponential functions given some data. First, we want to look at what is a growth factor. So if we look at these two functions, we have f of x equals 2 to the power of x, and g of x is equal to 4 to the times 3 to the power of x. And so in the example, it asks us to determine what number is being multiplied to each y value. And I have already pre-filled this. But if you notice here, from 1 to 2, I would have to multiply 1 times 2 to give me 2. 2 times 2 would give me 4. 1/4 times 2 would give me a half. Half times 2 would give me a 1. So all the y values here are being multiplied by that same number 2. And in this table, we have from 4 to 12, I would have to multiply 4 times 3 is 12. 12 times 3 is 36. 4/3 times 3 is 4. 4/9 times 3 is 4/3. And again, the y values here are being multiplied by the same number, 3. The number that's being multiplied is always going to be the variable b in the equation y equals ab to the power of x. And this number b is what we call the growth factor. And so if we look at example 7, it says, model the data using an exponential function f of x equals a to the bx. So the first thing we want to do is figure out what a is. Remember that a is your y-intercept. So if you notice over here, at x equals 0, we got 4. And so 4 is your y-intercept. That represents what a is here. So in this example, 4 is going to be your a. So my y-intercept here is going to be 0 and 10. And I know this is my y-intercept because the value at x equals 0 is 10. And then we need to figure out what b is. In order to figure out what b is, we want to ask ourselves, we want to look at the y coordinates, and these are the y's here. And so in order to get from 10 to 40, I would have to multiply by 4. 10 times 4 is 40. And 40 times 4 would give me 160. So in this example, b is going to be 4. So now we just write the equation. So my equation here, using y equals a times b to the x, is going to be a, which was 10, b, which is 4, raised to the power of x. And that's our equation. So let's look at example 8. Our a here is, our y-intercept is 0, 160. And then for b, notice that here we're going from 160 to 40. So we can multiply 160 times 1/4, 40 times 1/4. And so 160 times 1/4 gives me 40. 40 times 1/4 gives me 10. So if I'm multiplying, then my b here is going to be a 4. Some of you might have seen it as dividing. 160 divided by 4 is 40. 40 divided by 4 is 10. If you use the word divide, or if we divide, then in this case, b is going to be 4. Now the equation for the multiplication side, we get y is equal to a, which is 160. b is 1/4 to the power of x. And for the division part, we would have y is equal to 160. b is 4. However, since we are dividing here instead of multiplication, we're going to represent this as a negative exponent. So if you notice, this equation and this equation are exactly the same, but one is written with a positive exponent and one is written with a negative exponent. Okay, let's try one more. So here we have Our y-intercept is 0, 500. And b, we're going to be 500 times 2, 1000 times 2. So b is going to be 2. So my equation would be a, which is 500. B is 2 to the x power.